Candidates, you each have 90 seconds to introduce yourself, and in doing so, consider the following broad question, if you will. Would you agree that we can invest in greenhouse gas emissions reductions and socioeconomic wellness at the same time? And how would you prioritize your choices? Brendan Bay.
Hi, everyone. I'd like to thank the People's Official Plan Group for hosting another one of these events, and for the many of you that showed up tonight to attend, thank you all. I'd also like to say that I'm very grateful to be here in Kanata for this. Kanata has so much to offer. It might very well be our best suburb, and it's offering the closest thing to complete communities that we have in a large region like this across the city. I'm very fond of and familiar with it. I worked as a software developer in the Kanata Research Park for 4 years and lived nearby in Bell's Corners for 5. And I'd also like to thank you, Barbara, for this great opening question. My platform is built around the idea of investing in communities as a solution to most of the problems we face. Residents across the city have raised their concerns for housing affordability, the embarrassing and painful state of transit, and the future of employment and climate change. The solution to all of them is to invest in our communities, and that starts with housing. Council's first priorities should be closing out the easiest victories and improving the least complete neighborhoods. Kanata falls in the former category. As I mentioned, most of its neighborhoods approach completeness, and we just have to finish the job. The biggest missing piece here is transit, which, when done right and used widely, reduces greenhouse gas emissions significantly. Ottawa community housing is proving many of the concepts that we should be demanding from every new development. Their upcoming Gladstone Village project has a district energy system and wastewater heat recovery, and we should be doing that to new communities as well. There are many great things like that happening across the city already. We need to recognize these are the new standards and hold everyone to them.
We'll now move to our 3 preset questions, which were shared with the candidates in advance of today, and we'll reverse the speaking order with each question. Candidates have 60 seconds, 1 minute, to answer with the time warnings that you've already seen. We were asked by many of the candidates after our first panel in Barrhaven to provide a comment or rebuttal feature in our panels. Each candidate has a green card in front of them, which they can use once during this entire section across all 3 questions to provide a 30-second comment on another candidate's answer. I wish we could provide them more, but we have to keep the evening moving along. So we'll turn to question number 1. Should the City of Ottawa do more to protect the safety of Ottawa's drinking water by asking the Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission to require Chalk River Laboratories to come up with a better long-term approach to managing radioactive waste? Candidate Brendan Bay.
It's a simple yes to answer your question. We have, as a city, a responsibility to look out for the well-being of our residents, and while it's not directly our power or jurisdiction to dictate what this nuclear facility should do, we should be putting pressure on them and on other levels of government to ensure that our drinking water is safe and our city remains protected.
Thank you. Kanata is an example of an urban community wanting to protect its green space. Urban sprawl is also a concern. How do you propose Ottawa should manage boundary issues and the pressure of urban development while providing accessible green space and agricultural land? Candidate Brendan Bay.
Thank you. Growth is a delicate balancing act between competing interests. More people want to live in our incredible city, and we need to put them somewhere, but we also need to preserve what makes the city incredible. And so intensification should be our primary method of growth, and boundary expansion should be extremely deliberate and limited when we do it. But there are areas where infrastructure has already been built to service nearby communities that could support some growth, and desire for single-family homes isn't going to go away quickly either. Tewan is troublesome because it uses supposedly protected greenbelt lands and eliminates forests and farms to build a new neighborhood very far from any existing infrastructure. And it'll be expensive to support it, and the distance between it and Hunt Club or Finley Creek is wasteful. If we were to put a new development like that in existing wasted infrastructure, the space between Bell's Corners and Kanata or Nepean and Barhaven, it would be easier to justify sacrificing some greenbelt lands in favor of that. But wherever we build, complete communities need to be our focus, and completeness includes green space.
Thank you. So I'm going to move right along to question number 3, and we're going to ask the candidates to turn to the critical environment issue of waste management. What would you do to reduce plastics and solid waste and extend the life of our trail road landfill, for example? Would you consider implementing a user pay system or focusing more on education and awareness of waste diversion? Candidate Brandon Bay.
Toronto's user pay system is an interesting model. You pay an annual rate to rent a bin from the city, and the bin is all that is collected. If you want a larger bin, you pay more. And I think that's the right balance between pay-per-use and raccoon proofing, but it's only a part of the solution. Education and awareness that you mentioned help too, but the focus at all levels of government should really be on solving the problem before it gets to the end user. People are always going to choose convenience over anything else, and if the product you want to buy only comes in wasteful packaging, you're going to still buy it, you're going to still waste. So we need to make the green choice the convenient choice, and the wasteful choice the inconvenient choice. And the incoming federal single-use plastics ban is a good start, and something that we could do at a municipal level. More public recycling and organics bins would help a lot. Much of the city only has street-side trash cans, which means recyclables are thrown out because it's convenient. And the key to making these important changes is making them so easy, nobody has a choice but to do the right thing.
Thank you. It is now time to move to closing statements. Candidate Brandon Bay.
The city's current transit plan for Kanata leaves a lot to be desired. We're prioritizing a stadium that may very well have moved by the time the line is built over one of the city's largest business districts in the KRP, over bringing transit closer to more residents, and over major destinations like this ferry recreation complex. And Bridlewood isn't even on the city's radar for a bus rapid transit line. Taywin takes 2 steps forward and 1 step back on all of housing, reconciliation, and efficient urban planning. A portion of the Hazeldean Woods was razed after the storm in May in the name of cleaning up dead trees. The Club Lake Golf Course development adds a lot of needed housing, but it does nothing to add to Beaverbrook's completeness. And the green space gets worse after the development, worse than bare grass. The city has a lot of good intentions, but half-measure or even backward solutions, and we need to do better, which will require a clear vision for the city and a willingness to dream bigger.